Welcome to Immigrant. Welcome to a space where you can be vulnerable, a space where you're not going to be judged, a space where you can be authentic. And my hope and desire is to inspire and motivate everyone that click onto this podcast. So welcome to another episode of Immigrate. Hey, welcome back to another great episode of Immigrate. Within yourself or within your community, I think friendship is one of those topics that is very important. And the reason I think friendship is I have lots and lots of story that I like to share with someone, because as we are growing, we're learning to have healthy boundaries. And we spoke in episode 1, we talk about what healthy boundaries look like and why is it important. And in episode 2, we spoke about burnout. Boundaries is friendship. We said boundaries is friendships are healthy limits that protect your peace, time, and energy, value emotional well-being, while still allowing love and connection. Boundaries help friends stay respectful, balanced, and healthy instead of becoming drained or one-sided. Many people believe that boundaries mean that you're difficult, distant, or selfish, but healthy boundaries actually create strong relationship because they build trust, honesty, and respect. As immigrant, boundaries in friendships can sometimes feel difficult because many of us depend on community while adjusting to the life into a new country. And I want to pause there while I read those that little note, right? Because as we're getting older, I am 30, I don't even remember my 34. I feel like it's hard to create friendship. It's hard to have friends. It's hard to make friends. It's hard to, I think as you get older, it's just harder to make friends, you know? Like two little kids, say they're 2-year-old. They're so polite. They'll go to someone and say, "Hi, my name is Tasha." And that person, "Hi." And they're like, look how easy it is for 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds to introduce themselves. But for us as adults, we are grown, we are more stuck into our ways, we're sometimes prideful, and the list goes on. So we're not as easy to go and say hello or create friends. But and some of us too, either don't want friends, or some of us have our friends from a long time and we just don't want to create some new ones, right? It's fine, I'm saying. But as we're getting older and when we move, especially as I said, adjusting our life into a new country, it becomes even twice as hard, right? I just want to say I have some really good friends in my life. And it's not because I want to be friends with them. They want to be friends with me too. And I think it's very important that as an immigrant going into adjusting your life, we have to be careful with the friends that we have, especially if, for example, I'm speaking to my Christian community. If you move into a country and say you're a Christian, we have to be careful what kind of friends we have, right? We're not going to have friends who is going to drag us into things that we struggle with, right? We're going to create friends that are healthy for us, right? We're going to create friends that don't just feel pressured into doing something, right? And I also believe that friends who are also available in countries in North America, it's very difficult because we're always on the go. We have things going on. We have life happening. And then because life happens and we work sometimes so much, we tend to be lonely, right? And the losing of friends and connection can be hard. I share in episode 2 that how I lost a friendship by the Holy Spirit. So for me losing a friend, it meant that I had to create some new ones. I was among some friends here that was friends with other people, but I was just friends with them because they were friends. You know what I mean? But until then, when I learned to create my own friends, that's when I learned about boundaries. And sometimes when we have friends that can teach us how to have healthy boundaries, it's important too. Because if, for example, you have a friend who always just think about themselves, and don't think about you, that is not healthy, because the expectation of always want to please that person, it's gonna feel you're gonna feel tired and drained at one point. Can you imagine you're showing up for a friend at an event all the time, just showing up for them, and they're not showing up for you? Can you imagine how difficult that can be? Can you imagine how draining that can be? Because at the end of the day, your content is showing up for them, but they're not showing up for you. So how can that be balanced, right? So I think one of the things is, as I said, overextending yourself. Like there are time in my life where I was overextending to everybody. And it reached a point when I started saying no, I started losing those people. And the reason is that I was always available all the time to them, right? I thought they were my friends. But the minute you start saying I can't, or you'd life just get busy and you get busy, then everything changes, right? One of the things I want to point out, which I always talk about, is jealousy. Jealousy within friendship is one of the most dangerous things can possibly happen. And if you guys want me to, I could go deep into how we can see signs of jealous friends. But jealousy is one of those deep rooted things that can destroy friendship, and it can also create unhealthy boundaries. Because if you have someone who constantly, I want to phrase this properly, but who constantly trying to prove to you that they're better than you, they make you feel little, they belittle you all the time when you're around them. It's like a competition between the both of them. If you do something, they have to do something better just to make you feel small. That's not a friendship. That's the enemy trying to destroy you. Because one thing you guys have to understand, that when you have someone, jealousy is not from God. He said he's a jealous God, but he's jealous over us. But if we have someone who is constantly competing, you're always going to be on the edge, right? It is where sometimes it is so hard that within a circle of friends, you cannot be your authentic self. You cannot be. I remember I met this one friend. It was the first time. I was like, wow, she accepted me, and she's not from my culture and anything. She accepted me for who I was, and I accept her. And sometimes it may look different, like, okay, that's what you do. And I remember we used to go out and do certain things together when I was single. And when I got married, things changed. My patterns of change. And we text each other. I'm like, hey, we don't hang out as much. I'm the type of friend who will text another friend and be like, we need to hang out, right? But if I feel like I'm doing it too much, I will just pull back, right? But I am one of those friends. But this one friend will text me and be like, hey, we haven't met in a while. We need to meet up. We may meet up certain places where I don't meet up anymore, but they're like, where can we meet? And we'll chat for hours. We'll catch up. We will talk. We'll do all these things. But the point is, that person never ever let me feel belittled. I felt like her life was more important. And pointedly, at the time, before when I was single, she was married. And then it was no point she ever make it feel like, oh, I don't have time for you. But just be careful of people who always create something, or when they're around you, it make it seem like you're always the problem, or they always compare themselves with you, or those are not nice people to be around, right? An healthy friendship boundary may look like saying no without guilty. So if you say no and you don't feel guilty, then you know you're in a healthy friendship. Protecting your own personal time. For the introverts, I'm sure introverts can understand. They love their personal time, right? Protecting their personal time is very important to them. Extrovert, I feel like they love to be around people, but sometimes, and that's also important. Not answering calls or message immediately every time. True, life can get very busy. And if you text a friend and they don't answer, they can't be mad at you, right? Limited in one-sided friendship. And I spoke about this. If you're always just showing up for someone and they're not showing up for you, as I share my story, or you're always the one reaching out, it's not healthy. Communicating honestly. I know this for a fact. I have this one friend. And if she listens, she know who she is. But when it comes to our friendship, it's so refreshing because we can be so honest to ourselves. It's very refreshing because we're just honest with each other, right? Respect each other's privacy. This is also another important thing. You tell a friend something and then they go back and tell someone else, or they have something big and you're the first one to blub it out. Don't do stuff like that. People don't. And some of the time, read the room. Sometimes we as immigrants come here and we think we can we're too we into people's space as much. You have to call before you go, right? Privacy. Choose a relationship that brings peace instead of confusion. You don't want a friendship that's going to constantly be nagging, competitive, all these things, right? So those are what healthy friendship look like. What does unhealthy friendship looks like, right? So don't ignore these things. Demanding constant access to you. I don't think anything wrong with it, but it can be too much, especially if the friend is going through a tough time. I can be a needy friend sometimes, and I have friends who are needy, but sometimes they're going through like a season where they constantly want, but yeah, guilt tripping you. So you didn't call me. So you know what I mean? Guilt trip. If you have a friend that's guilt tripping you all the time because you didn't show up for them, even when you explain yourself to them, and I'm going to say this, I'm the type of friend I don't like waiting, or if I'm a planner. So if I text you or called you, I'm a called friend. So if I call you, I'm like, hey, can we meet up next week Thursday? And you check, because I've learned, check to your schedule, right? Because most of my friends are busy people. Yeah, sure, we can meet. And Thursday morning, you call me, or an hour before, say, sorry, I can't make it. I am at this point annoyed. The reason I'm annoyed is I felt like you don't respect me. That's it, right? So guilt trip, or be like, so the reason I didn't come because you always can't. You know what I mean? I don't like those things. And as I said, disrespecting your time. It goes related to disrespecting your time. So if, as I said, with your friends where they constantly just not showing up. If you invite them somewhere, they disrespect your time. They don't respect you because they're not late for work. They're not late for important things, but they're always late for you. Or if you schedule a time, as I said, I have friends who are very extremely busy. So writing things down in calendar, we have to do that if we all forget, right? Only reaching out when they need something. I'm annoyed with friends like these. I don't think I have friends like these. But just be careful of people who only reach out when they want something. Hey, you know what I mean? It's not healthy because they're just there to have access to you. Not because they're friends means that they can have access to you, right? Crossing personal limits. You see what I mean? So being too, like crossing some boundaries with your value system, or doing something that it's not appropriate. Maybe say, oh, I want to talk to your house. I don't know. Whatever is personal limits to you, you can tell, or becoming emotionally draining. I think at this point, this friendship is not anymore. When someone is draining you emotionally, it is not healthy. It is not healthy. It says, a real friend will respect your boundaries instead of becoming offended by them. And I want to pause here because I've been reading this book called The Bait of Satan. And the word offense is something that God is rooting out of my soul. And I read something about what is the love that Jesus have for us, right? The unconditional love. There's two types of love, the philos love and the other one, the unconditional. So one is conditional and one, you all know the two words, right? The the conditional love is transactional. And most of the time we have transactional friendship where it leads to disrespecting and all of that, right? Becoming emotional drain. But the unconditional love that Jesus have for us, the book was saying that when we have unconditional love, one of the ways to know that we do is we allow people to be rude to us without being offended. So when I saw this was a real friend will respect your boundary instead of becoming. So when when you unconditionally love someone, even if it hurts, You won't take it as a hurt because you genuinely love this person unconditionally. But when it's transactional, the minute they don't meet that transaction, then that hurt cuts deep. And the book went on to say, people who are the closest to you will offend you the most. I had to highlight that part because it's true. When you're going through a breakup of friendship, it can hurt, right? It's a healthy friendship. Understand that love and support should not come at a cost of your mental and emotional, spiritual well-being. The Bible teaches us the importance of wisdom, peace, healthy relationship. Even Jesus stepped away from crowds, rest and protect his peace. Boundaries are not pushing people away. They are protecting what God entrusts to you, right? And I wanted to with this Bible verse. Because friends, you see, as we're learning to be healthy and creating healthy friendships, the reason I hit friendship, because a lot of times it's hard when we move into a new country. Creating friends are always hard, but having them is nice too. Having someone to talk to and listen to her, because we go through bad days, right? Choosing wise friends, Proverbs 13:20 says, walk with wise, become wise, for a company of a fool suffer harm. The people around us influence our mindset, decision, and growth. So Proverbs 13 verse 20 says, walk with wise, you become wise, for the company of fools suffer harm. So if you walk with wise people, you become wise. The companion of a fool will harm us. So if we come here and we get ourselves into friends that's not healthy for us, it can lead us to harm. And I just want to encourage you guys that sometimes it's hard. I know it's difficult for a lot of people to make friends, and we feel like we have to let go of our values. We have to let go of who we are just to fit in. We don't have to. You don't even have, just be yourself. I'm telling you, I struggled with it until I found my tribe. I have friends who, for different things, for different places I'll go, I have friends for that. So at the end of the day, it's okay to not feel like you don't want friends, but if for those who do want, create some healthy ones so that you're not in a company. And while you created it, walk, make sure they're wise. And as I always said, I always use that. We want people to help us influence us. We don't want people to create and help people to make us better, right? So again, thank you for listening to another great episode of Immigrant. I'm hoping that you guys learn a few gems. If you'd like to hear a topic, feel free to email me. My email is in my bio, and is also, you can DM me on Immigrant Podcast on Instagram. You can also please follow my YouTube page by Immigrant Podcast. And thank you again for listening to another great episode of Immigrant. Hey fam, thank you for listening to that last episode. If you have been inspired by what I just shared, can you do me a favor? Can you just share this with someone that you know might be beneficial? Guess what too? My logo on my video. Follow me on YouTube. I need some followers on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram by Immigrant Podcast. Follow me on Spotify by Immigrant Podcast. Follow me on YouTube by Immigrant Podcast. Just share it. Share it with anyone you know. Share with any family member that you know who might be or may not be struggling with it. But share this podcast. And I look forward to share many, many more episodes with you. Thank you for listening. Bye.